This 17 News at Noon podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Noon podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Well, good day. I'm Elena Russ. The case against Matthew Queen continues for a second day. Queen is on trial for torturing and killing Michael Holsenbake, a victim who was part of a group that became known as the Bakersfield Three, acquaintances who were murdered or went missing around the same time in 2018. Queen and ex-girlfriend Bailey Despot are accused of murdering Holsenbake, possibly over a stolen gun. It's alleged Queen and Holsenbake fabricated illegal firearms together, and Despot helped sell them. Despot is one of the Bakersfield Three and has been missing since 2018. Now 17's Maddie Jansen has been sitting in on the courtroom, and she is now standing by with the latest on this case. Maddie?
Good afternoon, Elena. This morning continued with the cross-examination of witness Megan Farmer, who was friends with Bailey Despot. Now, as we mentioned yesterday, Queen is facing 35 charges, and among them, he is charged with kidnapping Megan Farmer. We can't show you her testimony because the judge is only allowing video during the opening and closing statements of this trial. But today, attorneys focused in on three separate incidents. One of them was in January 2018, when Farmer says Queen picked her up to hang out with Despot, and Michael Holsenbake was also in the vehicle. Queen told them he had to pick something up, and Holsenbake started freaking out, eventually jumping out of the car while it was moving. She says Queen then pulled into an orchard, told her to get out, and pointed an AR at her head and questioned her about whether Despot was cheating on him. She says she dropped to her knees and begged for her life. He eventually let her back in the car and took her to his home to see Despot. Sergeant Chad Garrett later testified that Queen's phone data put him in the area of that orchard on that date. Defense attorney Timothy Hennessy drove home the fact that Farmer didn't call police and report the incident until about a year later. He also asked if Queen later let her have a so-called free slap as repayment, and she said yes, he did. Another incident they focused in on was just before Holsenbake disappeared, when she said Queen again pointed a gun at her in front of her baby. After that incident, she says she saw Queen grab Despot by the throat and push her against a wall. Defense attorney Timothy Hennessy has also asked Farmer a lot of questions about Caleb Seiler, who is also expected to testify in this trial. He asked if Farmer ever remembered Despot telling her that Seiler would, quote, feed her drugs and keep her in a room as a sex thing. And Farmer said, yes, she remembers Despot telling her that. Again, trial's expected to last about a month. Live in downtown Bakersfield, I'm Maddie Jansen, 17 News.
All right, thank you, Maddie. Well, the search continues this morning for a 9-year-old boy who went missing in the Kern River over the weekend. Kern County search and rescue teams were called out to the Hogeye Gulch area in Keysville about 2:30 Saturday afternoon. Officials say several kids were in the water with an adult supervising, but the boy slipped and fell and was swept away. The sheriff's office says the adult tried to go in after the boy and needed to be rescued himself. Now, officials say the boy's family was not from Kern County.
That's something that we see a lot every summer when it comes time that people are starting to come out and get in the water. We want to really urge people, whether they're from here or from someone else, to make sure that they are communicating with their families who might be visiting to stay out of the Kern River. It's very dangerous.
Now, the sheriff's office has teamed up with the Kern County Fire Department helicopter for the rescue efforts, which resumed again this morning. The Kern County Coroner's Office says since 1968, more than 300 lives have been lost in the Kern River.
Hello, this is Tim Callahan with Clinica Sierra Vista, and we're excited to unveil the Community Health Center of the Future, our comprehensive care center. It's located right across the street from Memorial Hospital. We have every service under one roof, from family medicine, OBGYN care, dental services for adults and children, behavioral health, and much more. So find your way to better care at Clinica Sierra Vista this year at our comprehensive care center. Visit our website, clinicasierravista.org, for the latest on this project. We'll see you soon.
Now to some news out of Northern California, as police have arrested a second suspect in connection to the mass shooting in downtown Sacramento this weekend. Police say 27-year-old Smiley Martin is the brother of the first suspect arrested. He was arrested last night while hospitalized with serious injuries from the gunfire and will be booked for possession of a firearm by a prohibited person and possession of a machine gun. More than 100 shots were fired early Sunday as bars and nightclubs closed for the night. In addition to the 6 people killed, 12 people people were wounded along with Martin. Police earlier arrested 26-year-old Dondre Martin for investigation of an assault of a deadly weapon and being a convict carrying a loaded gun. But police say the brothers have not been arrested for homicide, as this is a highly complex investigation involving many witnesses, videos, and physical evidence. Police say they do expect more arrests to come. Meanwhile, state lawmakers say the mass shooting in downtown Sacramento has shaken them, as it happened just blocks away from where they work at the state capitol. The tragedy will be the latest fuel in the fiery debate around strengthening state gun laws. Today, lawmakers in the state Senate Judiciary Committee will consider a bill that would allow private citizens to sue gun makers, transporters, and sellers, an idea modeled after a Texas law that takes the same approach to abortion. 17's Capitol Bureau reporter Ashley Zavala will be sitting in on today's hearing for SB 1327, and she'll have a recap for us tonight on 17 News at 6. Human trafficking survivors from Kern County gathered on the steps of the state capitol this morning to urge support for a bill set to go before lawmakers today. 17's Eaton Wallace joins us from the Capitol with more on why supporters believe the proposal will keep human traffickers off the streets.
Elena and everybody in Kern County, good afternoon. Now, this law has everything to do with how human trafficking is classified under California law. Right now, human trafficking is not defined as a serious or violent felony, but those behind this bill want to change that.
There are more than 40 million human trafficking victims worldwide.
Co-authored by Republican Senator Shannon Grove of Bakersfield, Senate Bill 1042 would make human trafficking a strike under the California 3 strikes law. That could increase jail time for perpetrators. Among the supporters of this bill, a woman who says she survived years of trafficking in Bakersfield, and we want to warn you, some of what she has to say is traumatic.
When I first started being touched, I was about 4 or 5. I was penetrated between 6 and 7, maybe 8 years old. It's hard to remember. It was so long ago. And around 13, I started being sold.
We need to make sure that the perpetrator that committed these horrific crimes against them is locked up and put in prison for the longest time possible.
It's a horrific offense, and it has to be classified as a violent felony because it is deserving to be.
Some Democrats, including Assemblymember Blanca Rubio of the San Gabriel Valley, support this bill, while others argue more prison time is not the answer. The bill faces many hurdles before it can become law. First, it needs to pass the state Senate Public Safety Committee today. Well, Senator Grove acknowledges getting the bill through that committee could be an uphill climb, but she tells me she is working on getting bipartisan support. Reporting at the Capitol, Eaton Wallace, 17 News.
And now to business news. A strike by tens of thousands of Central and Southern California grocery employees has been averted after the workers' union reached a tentative deal with several major supermarket chains. The union says the new 3-year contract includes higher wages, stronger health benefits, guaranteed hours for part-time workers, improved store safety, and a secured pension. Exact details won't be released until its members vote on the deal starting this week. About 47,000 workers at hundreds of Ralph's, Albertsons, Vons, and Pavilion stores voted last week to authorize a strike if this agreement wasn't reached. And the Biden administration plans to freeze federal student loan payments through August 31st, extending a moratorium that has allowed millions of Americans to postpone payments during the coronavirus pandemic. The decision was confirmed by an administration official familiar with the White House's decisions. Now, student loan payments were scheduled to resume on May 1st after being halted since early in the pandemic. The action applies to more than 43 million Americans who owe a combined $1.6 trillion in student debt held by the federal government. And now to the latest for the COVID-19 pandemic. The World Health Organization is warning people of a new mutant Omicron variant called XE. Doctors say this strain of COVID is more transmissible than the others. The XE strain was first detected in the United Kingdom in January. So far, more than 600 cases have been reported. Preliminary findings suggest that the strain may be about 10% more transmissible than the other variants. Health experts say the most important thing you can do is get vaccinated, and if you've already done so, make sure you're up to date on your boosters. And Bakersfield's Fox Theater says it will no longer require a negative COVID-19 test or proof of vaccination unless the artist performing there requests it. Fox management says the new guidelines are in accordance with the California Department of Public Health. And Kern County Public Health has announced they will only be updating their COVID-19 dashboard twice a week now, on Tuesdays and Fridays, as cases continue to decrease. So today's update shows 140 new positive cases and 10 new deaths attributed to the virus, for a total of 2,304 people killed in 2 years since the outbreak. State data shows 23 people are still hospitalized with the virus in Kern County, with 7 patients listed in intensive care units.
The 17 News at Noon podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.